friends, Bricky here, back at Universal Hollywood Studios. I think that's the name. No, got it wrong. Universal Studios Hollywood. Nailed it. Doing what I did the last time I came here. I walked all around the outer edge of the upper lot. But today I'm going to do the lower lot so that I can better learn this new park that I'm having so much fun exploring after I've been to Disneyland over 1,000 times. It's time to learn a new park. And that's exactly what I'm doing today. So what do you say? You want to join me for an entire walk around the perimeter of the lower lot? And I'm starting right here at the edge of these boring brown doors. But if all goes right, we will end up over at the edge of the Jurassic Park area of the lower lot. So let's just cruise the perimeter and see what we find. So it appears the very first thing that you get into is the attraction for the mummy. So our first building on the edge of town is one of those old school Hollywood studio type buildings. And it is crazy how big it is to house the mummy attraction, which I will not be riding. All right, now this entryway makes way more sense than the little back corner that I had wandered in. This feels like a sizable attraction is happening. No matter where I stand, I'm in the way. So I'm dead against the wall, so I can kind of understand the scope that this attraction showed up in 2004. So it's been here for over 21 years, and it replaced the E.T. attraction. I wonder how much longer this will be here, because it has that old Hollywood back lot vibe to it, which is cool because this actually is a working studio, unlike the other studio theme parks I've been to. Clearly it's an advantage, but it is looking long in the tooth. And as Universal's got more into theming, I wonder if they'd build a big box ride like this again.
A brave and noble warrior, I leave this area in your care, small one. Farewell. And that goes for all of you. I see a Yoshi in the distance, and I know that he will keep you protected. Autobots, transform and roll out! Prepare yourself, Megatron. Yes, prepare yourself, King Koopa. We're coming for
you. That is so awesome. I loved Transformers as a kid, played with them all the time. Seeing Optimus Prime come out, who happens to also be Buffalo Bill's colors, is fantastic. Hopefully I'll also get to see Megatron, because him encouraging the fight last week was awesome. But a really cool meet and greet. I mean, the scale of the character, the amplification of his voice, the proprietary in and out exit, really well thought out and designed to hold people. I like this place. If you think about it, how clever is it that they have their own little showroom here where they can come and go? Obviously, the character doesn't want to take a ton of steps, but just having that little small step into their own area, like, that's really, really clever. Like, how many times do you see characters having to walk across a park, getting to their destination, letting down people the whole way through because they're like, can you stop? I want to get a photo, I want to get an autograph. And it just kind of lets people down, allowing them to come and go as they need to. Really clever, especially for a more complicated costume like this. This is way more thought out than if you'll remember the inflatable Hulk that showed up at Avengers Campus a couple of years ago. That one, not so thought out. So we have the old school Hollywood building stretching the entire right-hand side when we come in, which is really interesting that mummy attraction is just eating up that whole first walkway, which gets us to our first dead end, which I want to compliment that all of the structures around the edge of the Transformers, like the different fences and concrete pours that are used and textures, it does make it feel like this is the edge of, some sort of military zone. So, working with what they got, putting a little storytelling in there, it's not as jarring as what it could be if it wasn't thought about. So over here we have the edge of the mummy building, our first dead end, and then the beginning of the second major attraction, the Transformers, the ride.
Hey, what's your name?
I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
With this attraction showing up right at the end of 2011, beginning of 2012, you definitely see a little more attention to detail, a little bit more storytelling than what you see with the Mummy that would have came 8 years before. I kind of feel like this lower lot has the last 4 chapters of Universal theme park storytelling all in one little footprint. So we come around the corner and we have another sort of overflow zone, and then we get over to Super Nintendo World. Pretty basic layout. So we've already hit basically a dead end going into this attraction. You could obviously see a jump of attention to detail. Although small, incremental, there is an attention to detail. And then this is the top tier attention to detail that Universal offers. So basically a pretty easy walk to get here, but have strolled through 2 past at-bats to see how they got to this conclusion. And then kind of the middle child between these two and Super Nintendo World would be that Jurassic Park installation there that I believe showed up right around 2020. So going from 4 to 12 to 20 to 24, definitely a very interesting bookmarks of where the company's at with attention to detail and storytelling. And those last years I just did off the top of my head, so I might be wrong, but I'm close. I'm within a year. Then we have the ultimate theme park cul-de-sac, Super Nintendo World here. Small footprint, totally enclosed, circulates everyone around, adventure in the middle, guiding hand around the outer edge, which is overly tall to kind of keep you focused on where you're going next. I'll be doing a whole video breaking down this very, very soon, probably on my next visit, because there's something here big at play that I think helps us predict where a lot of different theme park lands and designs are going. This is a master class in the future of theme park design. But for today's video, it's just a really fancy cul-de-sac. Now there is this tunnel right here, but that's gonna break up my perimeter. So I'm gonna ignore this, keep following the perimeter, and at some point I'll discover where this dumps me out at. This is a trap for what I'm trying to accomplish today. Always impressed by the layering, texturing, the painting of this land. If you look closely at the flower pot, plants don't know their name. There's sort of a handmade texture to them where they're not overly smooth. I like that you can see a little bit of the touch of the artist. And the tunnel brings us back out to where we just started with Transformers, Mummy across from me. Pretty basic. I'm excited to see how all this comes together though. All right, I had to come over to the back deck of this restaurant and just kind of figure out how they had put all this together. The space management here is absolutely fascinating. Transformers creates our far dead end, and then the Studio Cafe is working along the edge of Super Nintendo World. I'm figuring it out. This will never not be funny to me. A Panda Express in a theme park is kind of wild. So clearly this building, this commissary, was built the same time as the buildings across the street. Kind of setting up a old Hollywood studio lot vibe that the newer additions just abandoned. I feel like the park is trying to find its modern identity. That's not a bad thing. All right, they have full on just plopped down the drinks, popcorn, and snacks cart here right in front of the old Hollywood building. This is just kind of wild. Yeah, this just straight up got thrown right in front of the old building. That's the clash of identity that I'm not a fan of. And then at the end of this long dead end is where the tunnel drops you off. All right, I understand this. Each of the tunnels are recessed back at the end of this commissary building. So therefore, it's always easier to find a spot to put in more restaurants and shops. But it's not always easier to find a place to put in more attractions. So if they ever wanted to, this building could clearly get erased, and this footprint could be a massive expansion right into the park, because it perfectly aligns with its entry point and exit point, therefore giving them the capability to blow out the back wall or keep it and just have a first courtyard that would take you to the main courtyard, or just kind of blow it out and just make it more of a larger circle that you go into. But perfect placement if they ever wanted to make more of what people really love about this park. The expansion zone is clearly defined right in front of it, right attached to it. That was genius. Never picked up on that when I was whirling through here the first time. That's why I love doing this. So we go from old Hollywood to Jurassic World type aesthetics. Tilted walls, the reinforcement, making us feel like we're in that theme park where there has to be a certain level of security to keep the animals on the island, but oh no, they always get off. And then we're greeted by the actual attraction at the end of this hallway, basically making the bottom a power circle of 4 different attractions you could just knock out. Boom, 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 one right after the other. All right, I'm interested. Is this gonna look like the theme park? This is what I'm looking for right here. No seating upstairs. Damn it. The upstairs is closed. That's what I really wanted to see, because I could sense there was that balcony when I came here the last time that this was multi-level, and I was hoping to get that lookout. Oh well, there's plenty of places to look from above at this bizarrely designed theme park. Straight up did not know that there was a play area tucked away in this back corner. Perfect spot for a playground. Had no idea that this is where you get on the waterfall attraction when you first come in. This thing must be huge. Not riding it, have too much to do today, and I don't have anyone to watch my stuff because it looks like you can get drenched. But doing the playground over there now is even more smart to me, because you want to do a playground in a fully enclosed cul-de-sac where there's only one way in, one way out. When we look at Toontown back home in Disneyland, it's totally designed not to go into Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, so no parent has to worry about their kid escaping. As long as they don't get underneath the railroad, you know they're safe. Here, having this little enclosed area allows parents to let their kids run loose, get out of that stroller, stretch them legs, but there's a very distinguished or defined perimeter. But if one parent wants to go ride the ride and hang out with the kids over there, then there's a total balance of opportunity. This is very, very smart. I had no idea that any of this was back here. I just wish I could get on that upper floor. Yeah, I badly want to get the views from up there so I can look down on this lower lot from within instead of towering above. I guess I just never really paid attention or thought about that all of these amenities would be behind the famous towering gate that we know from all of the movies in the franchise. So how far can we go in this direction? I see an observation area in there. Let me check that out. Ah, I'm on the edge of the ride. Now I see. Aha! Now it all makes sense to me. Now I understand where I'm at and what's going on. It's all making sense to me.
Exit to your right and enjoy the rest of your day here at Jurassic World.
The smiles and laughter that I'm seeing of people on the boat, absolutely contagious. People soaked, makes me glad that I'm not riding it, and I have seen more than one kid come back through completely in tears. This thing must be a really, really good time for most. I'll have to come here sometime and only bring waterproof camera gear, or, I don't know, maybe get a bag from a store and put all my gear in there so it doesn't get drenched. But man, the contagiousness of joy when people come through here is awesome. This lower lot is kind of fascinating now that I really put it all together. An attraction from 2004, one from 2011, 2012, one from 2019, and one from 2023. 4 major areas, and each one really shows where Universal started and where they're going to. It's pretty fascinating to have kind of a circular timeline like this. It's almost perfectly in succession of all their different attractions and how they keep up in the ante. Exciting. Exciting to be here and to have all of this and to think about what could be next. And also excited that there's still something else to explore, to get up on this deck and see what that view looks like. There he is. There he is. I hustled back to see Megatron.
Teach you other tricks like fetch. Roll over, sit down, you know the basics. If you've mastered the flip, the rest will come easily. Look at this, matching uniforms. Time but no longer. He's chosen his side, I've chosen mine. You better pick the right side, or be a broken hip we'll be worrying about later. Can't even speak for himself, it's pathetic. You need to stare, human. Face forward and let's get this over with. Do us all a favor and go play in traffic. That's what all the fun is after all.
You'll never defeat the Autobots.
Such big talk from such a small human.
Bad guys are always the absolute best. Like, villains just bring out more fun when they just ridicule and kind of roast their subject matter. But the Bumblebee one is really fascinating in that there's a team member standing in the road working on an iPad that has to figure out which sample coordinates with the guest in front of Bumblebee. That one was really fun to watch those two team members work together for an experience. That was cool. Maybe hide the guy a little bit better, but still cool to see how the magic works. And Megatron is just definitely the coolest pistol I ever met. And I guess the ultimate example of forced perspective, if this guy is supposed to be a gun, a handgun, get out of here. And it looks like the Raptor encounter brings us to the inn, although there are a couple of other fun details. This looks where there's accessibility ways to get to the top lot, and then there is also the service animal relief area. So we've got some friendly amenities over here in this back corner. But I just had a blast walking around, figuring out how all this is put together, and unbeknownst to you, doing research on a big video to come over on the main channel where this lot exemplifies a design idea or concept that I see coming soon in the forward future, we'll say. So I hope you had fun walking around the lower lot, exploring it with me for my very first time of going through the details. When I came here with Wu, he's always a man on a mission. He took me right to where we needed to go and got me right out. But coming through and seeing every little nook and cranny, how it all is laid out, just gives me such a better appreciation for the creative problem solving fully on display in the lower lot of, you ready for this? Universal Studios Hollywood. Nailed it. I'm dyslexic. Things like this are very hard for me. Thank you so much for showing up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And make sure you head over to my other channel, Hey Bricky, where there's going to be some interesting Universal videos like you've never seen before showing up on the main channel. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you.